Hello, welcome to another V's Cards video. My name is mvcuic. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Australia, and in this video we're going to make an easy, fun, pretty tulip card using a number of techniques including two-step stamping. Can you guess what that 100 means? Okay, let's begin. First up, I am taking my tulip dies and I'm selecting the ones that I'll be using for this project and cutting out a whole heap of dies. Tulip dies is a fabulous die set and it also coordinates with the stamp set Flowering Tulips. If you purchase them together in one product code, you get 10% discount and you can shop at the Stampin' Up website. Please use me as your Stampin' Up demonstrator. I would love your business. So here's the gorgeous stamp set. It does incorporate two-step stamping. So as you can see, the first image matches with the second image, and so on. So you've got two pieces there that work well together and are meant to stamp together. So I'm playing around at this point and I've cut some strips of Pear Pizzazz Highland Heather and basic white cardstock for the base. I'm also stamping on soft seafoam. I am stamping tone on tone, so I'm using soft seafoam ink on the soft seafoam cardstock, and that goes with all the other card colours. When I first experiment with bundles, I like to do a whole heap of stamping and die cutting, and then I play around with what I've cut and stamped, and eventually I create a few different types of cards. The Pansy Patch bundle reminds me of the Flowering Tulips bundle. They both have a lot in common. If you like one, you're sure to like the other. First, working on the largest tulip image, I am stamping the first stamp and now the second stamp over the first stamp for two-step stamping, so it adds a bit more detail to the image by adding that second stamp. I do like to stamp off when I'm doing the second stamp just so that it's not too dark. Please refer to my previous video doing the Pansy Patch dies, because I do have a whole section on stamping generations and two-step stamping that you might want to have a look at. I'll put the link in the description below. I want to point out in this section I didn't stamp off on stamp number 2 or the second stamp, and I have regrets. I think it's just a bit too dark and harsh. I definitely went along and did the other ones by stamping off first. You can use the die set separately to the stamped images, and that's what I'm doing in this case. So I'm die cutting a whole range of pieces and then I'm going to put together the tulips, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. I also wanted to die cut some pre-stamped leaves and stems as well. Later I'll decide which of those die cuts I'll use for my card, and the leftover pieces I can use for different projects in the future. I'm now bending all the score lines and also curling the petal pieces of the tulips using my bone folder. When you get to the smaller pieces, just take care to be gentle when using the bone folder so that you don't tear the pieces. Now I'm just pointing out that there's a score line there. This is where you'll need to fold your die cut piece so the die is actually cut and scored. Let's take a closer look at the dies. I've separated them into different sections. So this first section on the top left shows you open dies that cut unstamped images. These 3 dies will create 3D pieces with score lines for folding. And then this second pile does the stamped images. You can either create plain pieces or stamp first and then cut around the stamped image. And this part here is the accent 2 pieces, which create beautiful borders and accents in your project. So this die set works well independently and also fabulously with the coordinating Flowering Tulip stamp set. And you're going to get a whole lot of value by purchasing it in a bundle with the Flowering Tulip stamp set. Next up, I'm going to dry emboss a piece for the card front. I realise that I'm using a retired embossing folder, but I have some examples of current products you can use for this project. Using a blending brush, I'm going to apply some balmy blue ink onto the background by creating little circles and making it less defined on the edges and more darker on the inside. To add a bit of subtle glitter, I'm going to use the Wink of Stella and sort of scribble over the writing in the background there. So just some fine detail that you probably wouldn't pick up unless you held the card to the light. Nevertheless, I do like a bit of bling. The screen background is going to change because I have recorded this in a 2-day span. Not shown in the video, I have previously used sponge daubers and I spudged the edges of these tulip pieces just to give them extra dimension, and now I am putting them together by using glue dots and folding the crease folds into place. To avoid sticky fingers, I am using my Take Your Pick tool to lift up and manoeuvre the mini glue dots. I'm also placing the card onto the glue dot roll so that it sticks on, pressing down and then lifting. By looking at the die cut tulip pieces, you get a fair idea which ones work well together or fit each other, but you can mix it up a bit as well. So those smaller pieces you can add extra if you want to add extra dimension to the tulips. I'm now assembling the bits and pieces of the tulips to create a nice layout for the card front. I'm trying not to layer too many things over on top of each other so that there isn't too much of a bump. I will adhere the pieces using mini glue dots except for the stems where I would use liquid adhesive. I strategically placed 2 mini glue dots on the tulip heads, one on the left and one on the right, leaving a gap in the centre so that I can move that tulip either up or down the stem to create either a shorter or a longer stem. Remember, with liquid adhesive, less is more, so creating too much of a blob at the back of that stem will create a big shiny blotch on your card front, so you want to try and avoid putting too much on. I really like the sentiments and their font style in the flowering tulip stamp set, and I'm using the thank you one, which is fabulous, and I'm also going to incorporate a frame around that sentiment. I use the layering circle dies. I strategically adhere the mini dimensionals around the leaf and the stem so that it's not creating extra height, just a little bit to pop up the sentiment. I really hope I've inspired you and that you like this video. If you like it, please like it, and also subscribe if you're not yet a These Cards subscriber. Click on the bell icon and choose all so that you receive notifications for all my upcoming videos. Thanks so much. I'm adhering dimensionals to the basic white card, and then I'm going to flip it over and attach it to the card front. I really don't want it to sag, so I'm going to add some in the centre as well. To finish up, I'm going to use some Wink of Stella on the edge of the petals for a little bit of bling and shine. Why not? Remember that 100 in the introduction to the video? Well, it's celebrating the 100th subscriber of my YouTube channel, These Cards. Thank you so much to all my subscribers for committing to watching my videos, and I do take a lot of time and love in sharing my knowledge with you. It gives me great pleasure to inspire you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next upcoming video. Until then, happy crafting and take care.